a lot of business owners make. They are more concerned about the now than preserve for some
yes.
of them.
So not even talk at the stages of early days when you're looking for small 5 million, 10 million. It's difficult for most of those banks to see why you need it. And then you have a fundamental problem in Nigeria, which is collateral. Everything revolves around collateral. But I look at it this way. You build collateral over time, and you build collateral with your direction. Now, capital build is what also builds this collateral. So every time you expend money, you're actually increasing assets, you're also building collateral. Now, it's about planning this asset build that gives you that leveraging power, because leveraging on your asset is what builds your business. Now, how do you leverage on this asset is the understanding. It's a long-term process, as I always say.
So we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll continue with how to leverage on your assets to boost your business. We'll be right back.
Coleman quality, Coleman durable, Coleman cable for any kind of project.
Welcome back. All right, you were talking about how to increase efficiency in the company.
Yes, as I said, the efficiency of the company and the collateral-based part of it. And when you're looking at efficiency, if I take efficiency as a fundamental and trying to get the economics scale up, you need to actually increase capital. Nigerians are very good at one thing. We have skilled hands. But the problem we have is that we have the deficiency of the power and the infrastructure. So the only way you can actually create efficiency is to try and increase efficiency per each minute of production, each hour of production. Produce as much as possible. So that way, now this ideology that labor is cheap in Nigeria, I don't believe in it. Labor is not cheap because we go the expensive way to actually produce, which is labor intensive, and then it makes labor very expensive. Now, for you to actually make labor that is inefficient efficient, you need to use technology. Technology being automation. How to automate. Now, automation is never cheap. The more you automate your processes, the less number of people you need, the more cost it becomes, the more costly it becomes. And that should be our driving force. Now, the problem is always an issue of how do you raise capital for those type of investment. And I look at it that, look, it's not impossible. Yes, someone might say, yeah, Coleman is big today. That's why you say CapEx is easy. No, it is not. My own background of the business is we started from a negative position, and we were a small business with less than even assets of over 50 million. We didn't even have 50 million worth of assets in terms of that. And our total book portfolio of debts or borrowing was not even up to 5-6 million at that time. And it was maxed out. So when you look at it, we've gone from there to where we are today in terms of assets of 50 million. Today we have assets of almost 20 billion. Now, how do you grow a business from 2002 from 50 million to, I think we even already had 20 billion over by the time we're getting to 2014-15.
Hold on. At this point, I would like to know, at what point did you break even in the business?
Breaking even is a difficult grammar. I don't like using that word because everybody says breaking even. Because each project has a different break-even point. Now, but you see, the problem is that when you're developing your strategy, you can't look at break-even. I think, you see, for those of us that have studied this accounting, I think there must be a far better understanding of use of the word break-even. Because in a business scenario, break even for a project that is simultaneously sometime evolving along other projects is difficult for you to calculate. Otherwise, what will happen is that you're actually doing that project, you'll stop until you see break even before you implement another one. Now, I don't believe in that philosophy. My own philosophy is, where are we going? And is that part of our vision? Not
so
everyone.
you have to keep reinvesting.
You have to keep reinvesting. Now, at the point when you see break-even happening, it will almost work in simultaneously with the other projects. But for me, I've always believed that, look, we can do it in Nigeria. We don't have to import everything. And for Coleman as a policy, we never import any cable in our name.
What percentage of your raw materials are locally sourced?
We're proud to actually say that almost 80% now. I'll give that to recession. So recession was a good thing. 2015, 16-17 recession, or 15 to 16 recession, was actually a good thing for Nigeria. It made us backward integrate. We have 2 or 3 companies that are backward integrated about 70% of our import. We are also in the process of, by next year, also implementing that same backward integration into our process, although in a bigger scale, where it will push it to about 95%. So at that level, really, that is shown comfort that, look, Nigeria has moved away from cable that every raw material is imported to a cable industry whereby 20–30% of it is only imported. And that helps us a lot.
All right, let me quickly ask about the African Free Trade Agreement, which was or is supposed to help boost our inter-Africa trade by about 52.3% from its current 19%. But then the president did not sign the agreement. How do decisions like that affect manufacturing industries like yours?
I was part of the delegation that was with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and his team in Abuja 3 days before they were meant to sign with the President of MAN, Dr. Jacobs. And you could have seen, I think the delegation was about 50, 60 of us in different facets of industry, and it was all negative. We were impressed that after listening to what we said, they just canceled the trip. Really. And because they had not consulted enough. You see, we need to protect our industry. I think Nigeria makes one mistake. Yes, we're the giant of Africa. We are the most populous black country in the world. But we cannot just accept everything. We seem to be accepting everything at our own cost. Why we were arguing over after at that time, saying no to it, is that the consultation was not enough. What were they going to protect? We all didn't know. What aspect? Because after it's a good idea, it's laudable. Yes, Africans must actually integrate. We need to sell to each other more. We don't. Africans sell raw materials out and buy it all back. Why, instead of selling even to themselves the raw materials and building different industries?
Like in the case of our crude oil.
Yes, we don't. Now, but the problem is that the fundamental biggest part of it after that we're all worried about is, how do you protect us? One, protect our own industry. Protect that someone else doesn't use another country as a labeling block. What I mean by labeling block is that they say they're manufacturing, but they manufacture nothing. They just went there, repackaged the thing, labeled it that country, and shipped it to you duty-free. Now, it becomes a problem when you cannot identify those type of things. You need to tell us how you're going to identify it, how it's going to be done, and how the industry will be protected. And the 10 years or 15 years where you're supposed to protect certain numbers of your industry, what industry do you want to actually protect? There were so many questions. So I think they did the right thing. I think afterwards still happened. And I was not surprised South Africa did not sign. Now, if South Africa has signed, we could have queried ourselves and said, maybe South Africa technically is the most industrious in Africa, did not sign after. So why should Nigeria have been gung-ho about signing after? It will be to the disadvantage of their own industry, because you didn't give enough protection for this industry. So those are the key things. We need to fundamentally learn to protect ourselves. Now, today, the Chinese are the biggest in the world when it comes to export. But they were not years ago. I was reading some documentation at a point in time in the 80s. Nigeria was number 80 in the world in terms of wealth size. China was 144. Today, China is number 2, whereas Nigeria? That's the key question. China joined WTO. You see, it's the same thing like after. But when did China join WTO? They were smart enough to protect themselves first. Close their industry, close everything. Make sure you've achieved all, or majority. Then now go and join trade organizations where now I open my door to you. We need to be careful in jumping. You know, we jump onto environmental rules because some guy in developed world tells us this is how we should do. But this same guy was polluting the world at the point in time.
Okay, so we're running out of time now. But lastly, I would like to ask you, what advice would you give to small-scale businesses that plan to go into the 2nd generation and then the 3rd generation?
I think for me, what I always advise when telling people about succession planning and the next generations is that, look, plan it early, decide early, groom your children early. It's not gender dependent. Boy or girl, doesn't matter. Pick the child with the most prospect and it's not age dependent. We also make that mistake. My first child, boy or girl, should be the successor. It's not a guarantee. It's based on their capacity, capabilities. That should be the driving force of picking successors, just like when you interview any manager in your business. Then secondly, as you groom them from bottom up. Never groom them top down, which is always wrong because they will have no basic understanding of what it is to run a business. So it's always better bottom up. And lastly, what I always add to it, which I added recently, and I say to them, once your successors are known, and they've started the process of succession planning. It takes about 5 years to put a full successor through, sometimes even longer. Once they know, add one key fact, and this is mostly for the Nigerians, founders, security. I think they always leave that out because we make the assumption that the child being there or representing or working for the company is security enough. Now, most of them don't put this in writing, what happens to their MDs or their CEOs or their EDs. So security is never an issue. It was always going to be a debatable issue when founders leave. That's 1st generation problem to 2nd generation. Once they can try to solve that and put something in writing, then it will help.
All right. Thank you very much for joining me in the studio today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Brazilian who, with the longer blades that Oscar wasn't too impressed with. 200 metres, but we must stress, absolutely legal.
Sounds of the surf. Yeah.
Now that he's a hater, I don't want no bad energy. Man get used by a radar, can't see my enemy.
And this time they are away, and Peacock goes away strongly.
She wants a man from London, she wants a fella with felonies. That's not me, my team. There's no I in it, I bring it on my team. Bouncing this all my team. You want the bouncers, bouncing this all my team. Who do you wanna never know? Don't be a sheep when you can be gold. Great, it's a good time and you never know. Don't show up to my show,
This is
got no
absolutely marvelous.
energy.
Hello and many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Ife Arono. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party engaged each other via a debate on how to tackle national security. The debate session, organized by the Center for Democracy and Development, is the first among several upcoming debates aimed at unveiling the manifestos of political parties for Nigerians.
The debate series is the first among several expected to task political parties on their plans for Nigerians. 4 political parties were expected to be in attendance. This was not to be as only 3 showed up.
This platform creates an opportunity for political parties to instructively speak to what is contained in their respective manifestos, and not only that, and how practically do they actually want to get some of those things done.
The debates are themed around six issues. Today we had a very robust conversation on security, featuring 4 political parties. 3 of them were present, and that was an opportunity for the parties to really put forward not just their thinking in terms of plans and policies, but their understanding of what is security problems Nigeria is facing.
The Center for Democracy says the debate will be of immense benefit to Nigerians, enabling them to make the right decisions during the upcoming general elections.
This series will benefit Nigerians in terms of ensuring that the political parties are now preoccupied. For those who have not returned to their manifestos, in a long time, they have to return back there, so that as they are speaking to the electorate, it's not just about hurling insults at an opponent. It's about focusing, training their focus on the key issues that matter the most to Nigerians.
Most political campaigns have actually been characterized with a lot of attacks on political parties, personalities, but not, directly speaking to their policy ideas. How do they want to respond to a lot of socioeconomic and political ideas?
The representatives of the different political parties present had an opportunity to express their party ideas on national security.
We should not look at security only in terms of terrorism. There's also insecurity locally and internally by way of things like kidnapping, armed robberies, and all sorts of crimes going on in our society. The bottom line is that Nigerian society is broken. The economy is broken. And this is not a result of the recent governance only, but a perennial issue over several decades.
The issue of security goes beyond the insurgency in the Northeast. It involves armed robbery, kidnapping, and several other, even the Niger Delta issue. We have to also take that into cognizance, that the fact that today, Northeast is a lot better than what it was 3.5 years ago. We are not there yet. Like I said, you don't play politics with security.
The idea of national security goes beyond the discussions about hiring new police people. It goes beyond the discussion about Boko Haram. What we first have to understand is that the first gamut of the national security arrangement we have in Nigeria goes along 4 dimensions I talk about.
Amadine Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
Governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, insists that as far as he is concerned, the All Progressives Congress, APC, does not have a governorship candidate in the state ahead of next year's general election. He reiterated this yesterday in a statement by the Imo Commissioner of Information, Patrick Chidiebere, in Owerri, the state capital. In his words, the governor is in APC and he had an agreement with AA to support President Muhammadu Buhari for 2019. The governor will be in APC. He will support Buhari. APC in Imo State does not have a candidate as far as we are concerned. Well, the Nigeria Immigration Service said on Saturday that it had retrieved more than 700 voter cards from non-Nigerians living in the country. Comptroller General of NIS, Mr. Mohammed Babandede, disclosed this at the 2018 NIS Award presentation in Abuja. According to the Comptroller, the service is fully involved in the election process to ensure that no foreigner voted during the 2019 general elections. He said, and I quote, "This year, we have retrieved over 700 voter cards from non-Nigerians who will be there during elections to ensure that non-Nigerians don't participate." While the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Akwa Ibom State has organized an electoral assessment test for electoral officers and assistant electoral officers across the 31 local government areas of the state. The state resident electoral commissioner, Mike Igini, who supervised the test at the Federal Secretariat Conference Hall in Uyo, said that the training is meant to equip the electoral officers with the required skills and exposure to guarantee optimum performance during the elections. The commissioner said the officers will in turn train other ad hoc staff of the commission to ensure strict adherence to the guidelines of the commission, as well as a hit-free conduct of the 2019 election. While the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Humanitarian Affairs, Sani Mohammed, has said the claim by the Buhari administration that normalcy has been restored to the northeast of the country is a lie. The lawmaker, a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, said the region has failed, and he feared such failure could affect other parts of the country. Mr. Mohammed spoke while briefing his colleagues on his experience after visiting some states in the region. He said, and I quote, "We just returned from an oversight function from Borno and Yobe states, and I can say that the description that the northern part of Nigeria is under siege by Honorable Chika is an understatement," the lawmaker said in a rare, frank comment about the situation in the region still facing a deadly Boko Haram crisis. Well, members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria took to the streets of Abuja to mark the 40th day remembrance of the killing of its members by security operatives. The group, which commenced its solidarity work from the National Mosque to the popular Zone 4 junction within the city center, called on Nigerians to question the motive behind the killing of its members. A member of the group, Abdullahi Mohammed, spoke to newsmen present, saying the group will not end its protest within the federal capital until its controversial leader, Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, is released unconditionally from government custody.
The reason for today is for two purposes. One is for seeking for the freedom of the Sheikh. Secondly, when somebody died in Islam, after 40 days there will be serious prayer for the person and remembrance. So today is 40 days after the President of Nigeria ordered the Army Guard Brigade to kill followers of Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki during their Arba'in symbolic trek here in Abuja. The presidency should come out and tell the masses, why did you kill innocent people? It is Guard Brigade, and it is clear to everybody that it was Guard Brigade that comes out on a daily basis and kill Nigerians in Abuja.
Well, as Nigeria joined the rest of the world in marking the World Anti-Corruption Day, several civil society organizations have scored the federal government's anti-corruption war low. Speaking to newsmen in Abuja, they say not much progress have been made in the last 3.5 years, and several commitments made by the current administration to fight graft have been left unfulfilled.
Nigerian public officials have been very quick to make numerous international commitments to tackle corruption and lack of transparency. 14 commitments were made as part of the Open Government Partnership effort Majority of the 14 commitments made by government remain unfulfilled. 20 commitments were also made by the Buhari administration in the London 2016 during the anti-corruption conference. 1.5 years down the line, not a single commitment has been completed. Beneficial ownership register is nowhere near completion, and crucial asset recovery legislation, such as the Process of Crime Bill, has been hopelessly stalled in the National Assembly.
Huge deposits of oil and gas continue being a curse for Nigeria instead of a blessing. Monumental corruption and kleptocratic governance have brought Nigeria in 2018 to the nation with the highest number of people living under extreme poverty level in the world. Despite some acceleration in the rate of repatriation and confiscation of proceeds of corruption, we still do not see the investigations, prosecution, and conviction of the highest levels of our political class.
Nigeria still loses an enormous amount of resources to illicit financial outflows. It is estimated that around $35 billion are annually lost to illicit financial flows. These indirect, dodgy movement of monies earned in Nigeria and leaving the country through the back door poses great challenge to our development and economy.
There should be a ban on security votes, total ban. Cases in courts that deal with politically exposed persons should be expedited, and cases should not be thrown out on technicalities that hinder the judiciary from carrying out their judicial responsibilities.
And away from that, oil marketers have denied reaching an agreement with the federal government on the 800 billion naira subsidy arrears, saying their ultimatum to cease depot operations on Monday remained unchanged. The Federal Ministry of Finance on Thursday, the 6th of December, said that the federal government and petroleum marketers had agreed on the settlement of outstanding claims. The Executive Secretary, Depot and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, Olufemi Adewale, said in a statement in Lagos that offers made by the government failed to meet the legitimate demands of the association. The statement read, and I quote, "We refer to the press release from the Federal Ministry of Finance following the meeting with marketers under the aegis of DAPMAN, MOMAN, and IPMAN, and most respectfully refute its contents with the following clarifications. DAPMAN reiterates that there was no agreement reached because offers by government failed to meet the legitimate demands of the association, and we did not sign the purported document. Hence, our ultimatum stands." The news continues after the short break. Glad to have you back, and now to news from across Africa. The Interior Ministry said the Egyptian police killed 2 gunmen who carried out last month's attack on a bus carrying Christians in Minya Governorate to the south of Cairo. Police, helped by the military, found the gunmen in Asid Governorate, which lies to the south of Minya. They were in possession of 3 automatic rifles, 1 shotgun, and an unspecified amount of ammunition. Security forces also found one of the vehicles used in the November 2nd attack, which killed at least 7 Christians who were returning from baptizing a child at a Coptic monastery in central Egypt. The mobile phone of one of the victims of the attack, Kamal Youssef Shehata, was also found. While the government of South Sudan has denied a report by Amnesty International detailing execution of prisoners on death row. The Amnesty International report released on Friday accused the government of carrying out executions of 7 prisoners, including a child, in 2018. Amnesty International said it also fears for the lives of another 135 people on death row. However, Attorney Wek Attorney, the presidential press secretary, denied the report, saying South Sudan has not executed any prisoners since independence. He said, and I quote, "Since 2011, South Sudan has not executed any sentenced prisoners simply because we are signatory to the charters that prohibit death penalty. Even if the execution was to be done at the level of those who had committed murder, a child cannot be executed in South Sudan." Even the culture of South Sudan cannot accept it, end of quote. Mr. Tani added that President Salva Kiir did not sign any order to allow the law enforcement agency to execute any sentenced prisoner. While the European Union is set next week to prolong sanctions against Congolese President Joseph Kabila's chosen successor, just 2 weeks before a historic election in the resource-rich Central African country, EU officials confirmed on Friday that travel bans and asset freezes will be renewed against DRC's ruling party candidate Emmanuel Ramazani Shadri and 15 other people. The move is expected to occur without debate at a meeting of EU foreign ministers on Monday. He was sanctioned by the EU last year for obstructing DRC's electoral process and a crackdown against protesters angry over the long-delayed vote. The EU says he was involved in planning, directing, or committing acts that constitute serious human rights violations. It's time for a quick break. To stay tuned for more news when we return.
I am gap-toothed black girl, back corner of class, scribbling left-handed poetry on blank paper. Save the school's curriculum for later. I am overflowing tales by moonlight, that informal education. Trickling off the tip of my grandmother's tongue, you will find my mother's tongue here. A fast and fluent Yoruba, crisscrossing English, hidden messages in prose and proverbs call it Yorubanglish. And I am the miracle of melody, nestled deep in the groove of a rich high-life rhythm, a child of the marriage of hip-hop and Afro beats, and you can hear our voices pulsing beneath the skin of a talking drum, commanding hips to move without caution. And I am sky-high, gele, bold, and beautiful. We redefine fashion, wear our stories around our necks and from our ears so we never forget the voices of our ancestors. This heritage, this heartbeat, this is who I am. Heritage Bank, your timeless wealth partner.
That is how we get looped into a cycle of insanity, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. That cycle of failure is unsustainable and it has to end now.
Infection train is back.
They take us to the push and start asking us to call our people to send more people.
What can be done as an intervention for them right now to stop abuse of all children?
And now, foreign news. Police in Paris have fired tear gas on protesters as a fourth weekend of anti-government protests turned violent. The clashes came after up to 8,000 demonstrators gathered in the city center. More than 500 people have been taken into custody. Police have told the BBC that 30 people have been injured in the capital, including 3 police officers. The Yellow Vest movement opposed fuel tax raises, but ministers say it has been hijacked by ultra-violent protesters. Well, Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini fouled one of Rome's main squares with tens of thousands of flag-waving supporters on Saturday in a rally that underscored the growing predominance of its rightist League party. Locked in battle with Brussels over the government's big spending budget plans, Salvini took to the stage. He took the cheering crowds he would honor his electoral promises, warning that austerity would only fuel the sort of violence that has rocked neighboring France. Those who sow poverty reap protests, he said. He added he will not be turning back if Italians' right to dignity, pride and security will be called in question, and promised his supporters he would revitalize the European Union, putting blood and strength in the veins of a new European community based on work, respect, and economic and social progress. While Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu briefed Russia President Vladimir Putin on Israel's crackdown along its border with Lebanon on tunnels it said were dug by Hezbollah, the Kremlin said on Saturday. Netanyahu said this week that the tunnels were meant for use by Hezbollah fighters to infiltrate Israel from Lebanon and carry out attacks. The Israeli military sent mechanical diggers, troops, and anti-tunneling equipment to the border to shut them down. During their phone call initiated by Netanyahu, the president of Russia stressed the importance of ensuring stability in the region, according to a Kremlin statement. A spokesman for Netanyahu had no immediate comment. Up next is business news.
I feel it, we feel it. Can you feel it? The Niger spirit. Do you feel it? Cause I feel it. We all feel it. The Niger spirit. We don't just feel it, we live it. And if you get it, you got the Niger spirit. This Niger spirit, we breathe it. Best believe it, real as my heartbeat is. The Niger spirit, you can't beat it. So even when I lose, I am not defeated. We all breathe it, we all bleed it, we all live it. The Niger spirit, the Niger spirit. We love it, we live it. Niger all the way.
Niger all the way.
I actually moved back to Nigeria to open a bakery. This was my goal. And everything I did up till this point was in preparation for this. First of all, life was great because I moved in 2015 right before the recession, right? It was awesome. I was like, wow, there's so much money out here, man. The cost of overheads, power generation, water, you have to be your own local government. And there are no tax breaks. Many places where, where they realize the small business environment is difficult would offer some kind of tax breaks and incentives. We don't do that out here. We want you to come back. We want you to, to start businesses here, but we're not going to do anything to help you. All my experiences in the past have led me ultimately to where I am now.
You're welcome to Business News. Minister of State for Petroleum Ibe Kachikwu says he expects a final investment decision on its Bonga Southwest offshore oil field by February next year. He said on Friday on the sidelines of an OPEC meeting. The project, one of the country's largest with an expected production of 180,000 barrels per day, will generate profit at below $50 a barrel, according to Royal Dutch Shell, which operates the field. Unquote, negotiations are still going on. The contractual dynamics have still been perfected. Emmanuel Kachikwu told reporters Shell wants to do it by the end of the year. Probably it will slip into early next year for FID purposes. Between now and February, we should see a FID on Bonga. Shell's partners in the project are ExxonMobil, Total, Eni, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company. Kachikwu said Nigeria aims to produce 2.2 million barrels next year. Nigeria currently produces around 1.8 million barrels of crude oil, excluding extremely light oil known as condensates. The minister said that with production cuts agreed by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, that number would be around 1.74 million. Well, a section of the Jora-Apapa Bridge, which was closed for repairs and fortification following the partial completion of work on the 2-kilometer stretch of the road leading into Apapa, the port and its environment 5 months ago, is now reopened for vehicular movement. The closed section of the bridge was opened at about 6 p.m. on Friday, when the Federal Controller of Works, Lagos, Mr. Adedamola Kuti, declared it open for public use. The repair of the 325-meter stretch of the bridge was completed in 5 months instead of the 1-year contract period, and that's according to the project contractor Haim Halley. Meanwhile, the federal government also commenced the resurfacing of the third mainland bridge on Friday to ensure hitch-free movement during the festive period, adding that work would begin on the repairs of the piles in January. Still ahead in Plus TV Africa News is our roundup on entertainment and sports. Back in a moment. And in entertainment, South African author Zoleka Mandela opened up about her struggles with depression in a lengthy post on her Instagram page. The star, who recently revealed that she is pregnant with her 5th child, did not hold back when addressing her depression, saying that she has been finding it difficult to shower, be a wife, to be okay, to get out of bed, to leave the house, to stop crying, to be mum, or to breathe. Zoleka admits that being back in therapy after 8 years, though not easy, has taught her to start making more positive changes in her life, one of which is being completely open about the illness. Well, popular Nigerian comedian Helen Paul has recently shared her story of inspiration by saying she was once an unsuccessful model, makeup artist, and there was even a time when she sold sachet water at Moremi Hall at the University of Lagos. According to her, bankers now call her asking how they can help. She further urged fans to keep pushing, focus, and not forget where they are going. Meanwhile, Helen will be joining veteran actor Basi Epeyon on Sunday to host the Best of Nollywood Awards in Oyo State. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports right after this.
In sports, Boca Juniors appeal to have arch rival River Plate disqualified from the Copa Libertadores final due to the awful behavior of their clubs has been rejected by the CAS. The Boca Juniors appeal came after fans of River Plate attacked the Boca team bus ahead of the second leg on the 24th of November, resulting in injuries to a handful of its players. Moreover, Boca Juniors' appeal follows that of a similar scenario in 2015, wherein they were the erring side and got ejected from the competition as a measure of punishment. However, the Court of Arbitration for Sports confirmed that it has rejected an urgent appeal by Boca Juniors. The body said, and I quote, "The merits of the appeal will be examined at a later stage by a Court of Arbitration for Sports arbitral panel," end of quote. The second leg of the Copa Libertadores final will go ahead tomorrow in Madrid with a tie in the balance, 2-2. Meanwhile, the European League roundups in the English Premier League, Mohamed Salah scored a hat-trick to steer Liverpool to a comfortable 4-0 win at the Vitality Stadium against Bournemouth. At Old Trafford, United eased past Fulham by 4-1 to ease the pressure of coach Jose Mourinho. In the Spanish La Liga, Atletico Madrid moved a step closer to Barcelona at the top of the standings, courtesy of a 3-0 thumping of Alaves at the Wanda Metropolitan. Antoine Griezmann, Nikola Kalinic, and Rodri with the goals. In the Italian Serie A, Milik's brace moved Napoli to within 8 points of Juventus and 6 points clear in second place, following an emphatic 4-0 win over Frosinone at Naples. Borussia Dortmund extended their lead at the top of the Bundesliga log with 9 points following a 2-1 win over Schalke 04, while Robert Lewandowski's brace led Bayern Munich to a 3-0 win over Nuremberg to keep them within 9 points of rivals Dortmund. And that's it on Sports Updates. I'm Samson Oloyede.
And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news and updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We're also on channel 308 on Star Times. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. I am Ife Arono. Have a pleasant time.
That is how we get looped into a cycle of insanity, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. That cycle of failure is unsustainable and it has to end now.
Infection train is back.
They take us to the bush and start asking us to call our people to send money.
What can be done as an intervention for them right now to stop abuse of all children?
Hello and welcome to Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. I am Fumi Nwajefe. Today, we'll be focusing on how people on the continent are taking care of their environment. In Kenya, someone initiated the plan of trash for cash.
Every Monday, Jeffrey Baluzi, age 26, combs the beach as part of a cleanup crew from the Watamu Marine Association. Each time, they pick up about 4 big sacks of plastic waste. They're paid the equivalent of €4 a day. That means they earn €16 a month. That's not very much, but they're all happy to do this work. Jeffrey has been part of the crew since its inception.
My main intention was just to change the environment itself, because since the environment was different here, there was a lot of taka, and this was dangerous even to the sea creatures. So that's what brought me here, in fact.
They bring the trash to a recycling center run by the organization, not far from the beach. Shakushi Lewa helps sort the trash. He lives on the grounds of the recycling center. They separate hard and soft plastic. Part of it is given to local artists and women's associations which make flip-flop sandals or window screens to stop insects from getting into houses. The hard plastic is the organization's cash cow. It brings in the equivalent of €7,000 a year. The recycling center has acquired a new shredder. Soon it will be able to handle plastic not just from all of Watamu, but from another nearby community. Jeffrey thinks they'll be able to shred about 20,000 kilos of hard plastic, more than double their present capacity.
So I can say this project has been so beneficial on me and the project itself, because up to date, the taka we used to hide on the beach are now reduced. On the village, the same.
Thanks to the initiative, around 25 people in Watamu are earning steady money. Shakushu was unemployed for a long time until the project hired him. He lives for free on the grounds of the recycling center. He mixes old paper, water, and wood chips to make briquettes for burning. The business idea earns him the equivalent of €100 a month from garbage. When the people from the community collect those plastics and bring them here, they get money for the plastic. Jeffrey says the biggest challenge is to make clear to the community that recycling plastic is much more than just a short-term money-making project.
The challenge we do have is that, because people say, okay, I can join with you working there, but what are you going to give me? You know? So you have to pay him. Instead of volunteering, they don't volunteer. And they do have to volunteer, because this is their country. The environment belongs to them too.
The Watamu environmental activists want to do more to educate the community. Jeffrey wants to make people understand that recycling garbage is meaningful. It looks like he's already come a long way.
If you ask me, I think they should legislate that all bottling companies should recycle all their PET bottles. Recycling could create a revolution. Still in Kenya, a former banker recycles plastics and create new products which will reduce the cutting of trees and in the end, save the forest.
Nicholas Wambua is busy marking the borders of his farm outside Nairobi. Usually farmers here use wooden posts for their fences, but Nicholas has bought a new product.
Compared to the normal posts, the lifespan of this one is longer than the normal posts, so I prefer this one. It is reducing the destruction of forest, because now you find we are lessening the cutting of the trees in our country. So I am for it, because our ecosystem is being controlled.
On the outskirts of Nairobi, the posts are produced by a new innovative company. EcoPost is the brainchild of Lorna Ruto, a former banker. She came up with an ingenious way of getting rid of the city's plastic waste by making eco-friendly posts from recycled plastic.
All this plastic waste has been collected from various dump sites, some streets, and even homes, people's homes. So we bring them here. This is the first step. They are flooded from the truck. Then we store them until we get a good quantity. From there, we're able to take them into processing.
Every month, EcoPost gives 40 to 50 tons of plastic waste new life as building material. In its first year of operation, it produced more than 5,000 posts, removing hundreds of tons of plastic waste from the environment.
We crush the sawdust and we mix it with the plastic, and we make very good aesthetic and quality posts that can be used even for now building. And it's an alternative to timber, so by so doing we're able to save a lot of trees, and we hope to save the 2% forest cover that is remaining in Kenya.
Kenya has a massive problem with deforestation. Much of the wood is used as building material. EcoPost offers not only an alternative, it also removes plastic waste, which helps limit toxic pollution. Something Karanya Nyoroche strongly endorses.
The society is part of the problem. A problem in the sense that they are the source of that waste, and they should actually be responsible on how to dispose of it. If there is a market, and that market generates 2-3 tons every day of waste plastic, then the market should have regulatory guidelines on how to recycle whatever they generate. Then we'll end up with less plastic strewn on the streets or in the landfills.
Every year, Kenya's plastic waste grows almost tenfold. Lorna Ruto has shown that it's also a resource which can generate huge profits. EcoPost has already created almost 40 full-time positions and hundreds of casual jobs.
So it is not only in Kenya that people are making money from waste. In Gabon, one man is separating and recycling waste.
They have become an established team. Several times a week, men from Global Services come over to the market in Labarene, Gabon, and sort the enormous amount of waste. Organic waste goes into the pink bags and plastic in the blue. This is all done under the watchful eye of CEO Firmin Makaya. Unfortunately, the people here are used to just throwing their garbage on the street. Many simply don't understand why they should think about waste separation and recycling. That's why we have to explain to them the importance of this over and over again. Not only to the residents, but also to the city administration. Labarene may be small, but for years it's had a big waste problem. The city waste management exists only on paper. Businessman Makaya took action. The 37-year-old founded his own private waste collection company, rented a small office, and established a team of 8 strong men. Now they are the stars of Labarene. It's very nice to see what they're doing here. A clean environment helps everybody. We used to really have too much garbage here, but since the people of Global Services started their operations, you can see a difference. These two tricycles transport the garbage daily to the depository on the outskirts of Lamborghini. The company purchased them with its initial capital, which it won in a startup competition. This is the most unpleasant part of the work for the men of Global Services. Here is where the waste is burned. This, of course, is not good. It's not good for the health of the people who work here. And it's also not good for the environment that we actually want to protect. Now the businessman is working together with his wife on the next step of his garbage project. They want to construct a recycling plant in the jungle of Lamborghini. The plastic waste will be mixed with sand to create a cement-like brick. The mass is well suited for road construction. And the land has already been purchased and cleared. What's missing now is only money. Of course, it's all a difficult and lengthy process. To be honest, I have sometimes thought of giving up. But today, I'm more convinced than ever that we'll succeed. Makaya has already convinced a producer about his recycling idea, who's supplying Makaya with sand at a special price.
A 16-year-old in Tanzania holds a weekly show focused on the environment.
She's determined, ambitious, and has come a long way. Valentine Waku is a scientist and a staff member at the International Centre for Tropical Agriculture, or CIAT, in Nairobi. For now, the 29-year-old is researching the quinoa plant. The nutritious crop from South America could help in solving Africa's nutrition problem. For this, she analyses seed and soil samples from 5 countries in East and West Africa.
The seed and soil will be analyzed so that we can see the relation between the nutrients in the soil and the yield we're getting from the seeds.
In the first year of her long-term project, Valentine Waku already discovered 3 suitable kinds. Her results are soon going to be implemented by the farmers.
Especially this being a new crop, we want to tell them that you can have a good yield with this and this variety. So we will propose that these are the varieties that are doing well in Africa.
From the lab to the fields. The Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organisation works hand in hand with the researchers. The farmers from Machakos have been taking part for 1 year. They get tips on planting and harvesting a particular type of bean. Because of the training we got, the work is now reduced for us. Now we always uproot the weeds and then use them for mulching.
We are proud because we're getting good harvests. It's not like before, because we were taught how to plant, and together with my group, we're applying what we learned.
The farmers get to put the surplus from their harvest on the market or sell to processing companies. This is also a result of the project.
Our role, in short, has been select which varieties can go for industrial processing, the pre-cooked, train the stakeholders, including the farmers, on how to grow them and to aggregate them.
For the scientists at CIAT, sustainability is important. Director Robin Burukara knows this as well. The institute now has the plasma of all the bean germs known across the world.
We have the germplasm, there's the research we can do, but we work very closely together with our national research systems and then work closely together with agents which can support dissemination so that the farmers get the product.
The bean project has been ongoing for 1 year and is soon coming to an end. Valentine Waku is happy about its success. She also researched the beans. Now with quinoa, the goal remains the same.
This food security crisis in Africa is ongoing song. So with especially what I'm involved in the quinoa, if it's successful and we see that it can do well in Africa, it will really improve the livelihoods of the downtrodden people.
Valentine Waku's quinoa project has been planned for 5 years. The scientist wishes that the farmers would quickly profit from her results and that quinoa would successfully be planted in Africa.
Imagine if we could educate young Africans very early about recycling waste and taking care of the environment. We would have a cleaner continent. But trust me, it's not too late to act. We'll take a break and then we'll be right back. Welcome back. So in our next story, we are taught not to take the fresh air we breathe for granted.
These volunteers are about to learn a lot about the benefits of fresh air. Brice Delagneau is the activist behind the tree planting campaign. The meeting place is no coincidence. It's the epicenter of exhaust emissions in this city of nearly 5 million. We're amazed that many more people came to participate in the reforestation campaign than we expected. Banco Forest is just outside the Ivorian commercial capital, Abidjan. It's clearly visible from the highway, but many urban residents have never been here before. Brice studied environmental management in Abidjan, then founded his own organization. With this campaign, he wants Abidjan residents to understand that Banco Forest is the city's source of oxygen. This is a large metropolis. There are so many cars. The ones you see here in the city are usually bad for the environment. They're 10, 15, or even 20 years old. Sometimes even older than that. Without Banco Forest, the air in Abidjan would probably be much worse. Recent studies show that people already breathe in 3,000 tons of carbon dioxide here every day. With its abundant vegetation and rare tree species, the forest exudes a kind of magic. Part of it remains untouched and has been designated a national park. But many trees are being cut down outside the protected area. In 2009, this entire space was a rainforest. Today, it's full of residential buildings and factories. There's only one thing to do to save part of the cleared area: plant more trees. Participants plant various kinds of trees, including makore, nyangon, and tiama. These volunteers say the air is clean and refreshing, and healthy. The funds for this campaign come from an annual environmental conference. More than 70 new trees have been planted just today. To assess the impact of his efforts, Brice returns to the rainforest. Looking at this natural beauty, I would like every Ivorian to get involved and preserve it and stop cutting down trees. They should be protected. The same goes for the whole environment. Everyone should come to this space so they can learn how to love nature. Brice Delagneau has been able to inspire more than 130 volunteers with his initiative. He's also taken his campaign to neighboring Burkina Faso and Ghana.
If we knew how valuable trees are to the air we breathe, I doubt we'll cut down a single tree. So from planting trees, we go to the eco-warriors protecting their land.
In the remote Yaida Valley, the Hadza people have lived like this for 10,000 years. They still depend on the forest for hunting meat and gathering fruits, and even whistling to birds, which lead them to honey. But today, their land is under threat, and to protect it, they're turning to modern technology.
We hate it. We don't like to see the trees cut down like this.
Ezekiel Filippo is one of the Hadz's forest guards who patrol the area looking for signs of damage. His team uses GPS satellite tracking to collect evidence of the destruction.
We use tools to record where we have been on patrol, and we take pictures. If we come across an area where someone has destroyed trees, we take a picture on the GPS device and it records the location.
The problem is the competition for this land. Other tribes need space for farming and cattle grazing, and in places that means the natural habitat is completely destroyed.
You can see the state of it. It is devastating. The way they are farming this land. Now where are the Hadza people going to live?
When I was a child, all of this was thick forest. There were lots of animals, and this area was especially good for collecting honey. It hurts my soul to see it now.
To stop the destruction, it is now illegal to cut down trees on Hadza land. And where the patrols find damage, they can arrest or report the offenders, who will face a fine.
When it happened that there is someone establishing maybe settlement or a piece of farm or a boma, that is an illegal issue. So the Walinzi Wajadi or Village Game Scout, using GPS picture, to prepare the report that will be sent to the village governments to take a legal step against this issue, because it is not allowed.
The project is funded by the Global Carbon Credit Scheme, where businesses offset their emissions by contributing money to projects that reduce carbon. The villages are given payments twice a year of thousands of dollars. And the patrols also work with other tribes in the area to voice their concerns about the environment. There are now just under 1,000 Hadza people left in this area, thought to be among the last hunter-gatherers in the world.
This, everything you can see below me here, is the land of the Hadza people. This is where we live. This is where we get our meat and our honey. This is what we call home. I feel very happy when I see how we have looked after this beautiful land. Before, when I saw the land being destroyed, I hated it. But now that I see it being protected, I feel very happy.
Thank you for watching Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. See you next week. I am Femi Unwajefe.
Okay, I'm fine. No, it was done not with your permission. I asked my parents why they gave me the tribal mark, and their reasons were it's for beautification and identification of our culture. Originally from Erua in Oyo, but they migrated to Ondo town. So now we use Ondo as state of origin. So even if Ondo people ask us, which state are you from? We'll say Ondo. Ondo people don't have this kind of mark. We don't have time to be saying stories. Our grandfathers migrated. Well, we just say we are from Ondo. Well, people told him that the world is getting more civilized, and I have a diary he took
in my room, so he read it where I ate myself because of the mark, and I ate him too. So he called me like, this is not how it's supposed to be. That this thing is for beautification and identification. But there is no way you can talk to people bullying me every time. It can't be there every time. So I think that is one of the reasons he stopped giving to the younger children and my siblings. I have to keep quiet when I'm told to keep quiet, you know. Like, you can't talk, you have trevor marks, you are not up to our level, you know, all those kind of things. I said no. So it was not easy, right from primary school to secondary school. Concerning how I was bullied and how I got over it, I deliberately failed some GCEs because I don't want to go to universities. Yes, I hated myself and I said, no, I'm not going. If I go, I'll kill myself in that school. And my baby father, he just absconded on me when I got pregnant then in 2009. Then all of a sudden, okay, what did I put? I put something about my tribal mark on my Instagram page. Not this page I'm using. I posted, so Instablog took the story and posted. Then he saw me. That is after 8 years that he has gone. And he was like, I saw you on the internet, so what's good? You took my number there without my permission. What can I do for you? I said, no, he couldn't stay because he doesn't want people to talk there. See the girl, he's begging to, like, I don't want people to see us together. Don't they know that we are dating? Said, no, it's not that, but I'm busy. We should come out at night only. You know, enduring that, it wasn't that easy. Friends like, oh God, I'm getting emotional, please. Okay, I'm fine. Thank you. Well, so my friends online helped me. They brought out the confidence in me. Yes, my friends online, they helped me. I can't forget. They helped me a lot. Like, no, it was done not with your permission. No, you have to come out. Be bold. You have a beautiful skill. People, not everybody have this kind of skill you have here. You have white friends that you teach, that they, yes, because they posted that they learned from me. I'm like, and my friends are like, really, from this person, and you are hiding yourself. So from there, I just start posting more. Got over it. So if you bully me, I'll just mention my friends. Hey, I go and look for trouble for me. Now I see it as a blessing with these guys, because for Rihanna to follow me, that one alone, I'm like, Abi is not Rihanna. When people start mentioning my name, like Rihanna as well, I say, where? I can see it, where? Show me. So my friends went to check the program, see it, she's following. I said, God, hey, because of this mark. I'm like, I was emotional, like, what? Because of this mark, Rihanna, wow. Well, I see it as a blessing now, because now I get more photo shoots, you know, blogs everywhere now. They are now showing my tribe. I'm like, hey, see, I'm floating this. Even part of the bullies that bullied me back then in secondary, they start calling me. I say, did you remember what you do? We were young now. I say, you were young, but I still remember. So I told them I did not forget. I did not forget, but thank you. You made me stronger.
National security. The debate session organized by the Center for Democracy and Development is the first among several upcoming debates aimed at unveiling the manifestos of political parties for Nigerians.
The debate series is the first among several expected to task political parties on their plans for Nigerians. 4 political parties were expected to be in attendance. This was not to be as only 3 showed up.
This platform creates an opportunity for political parties to instructively speak to what is contained in their respective manifestos, and not only that, and how practically do they actually want to get some of these things done.
The debates are themed around six issues. Today we had a very robust conversation on security.